making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and have wonderful guests. And of course, we'll be happy to bring back for you all Jenny Lee. She made her move and she's back on track. So let me bring her on. Hi, Jenny.
Hey, how are
Really
you?
good to see you again. I'm glad your
Yeah,
move went pretty smoothly, it seems. So
yeah,
that's all
yeah. I
good.
mean, I had a lot of support, a lot of friends that helped me, and I had. It's always one of those things you have more stuff than you realized.
Oh God, yeah.
So,
Starts coming out the walls, right?
yeah, and I'm just glad to be in North Dakota and out of Minnesota. That's all I'll
Yeah, it
say.
goes together.
Right? It's
Right.
good. So everything's good with that, and just we're getting settled in and everything. So just getting ready for the next phase. So just in time with everything. So we're good.
Awesome.
So and then I'm ready for that show in St.
Florida?
Petersburg, Florida. So yeah. So it's going to be nice. Laura Eisenhower is going to be there too, and a bunch of other friends, Brad Olson. So it's going to be good.
Awesome. Well, today we were going to talk about 5D healing the world. Um, and did you get some downloads or anything that you wanted to share? Or let's see if this one little,
Yes. Okay. And so yeah, I got a lot, and I've been getting a lot more lately. It's been just like I don't know. When I moved, I noticed that just even completely at the last round of moving, the change of energy just shifted. And usually, spiritually connected people, when because spirit kind of gives you a direction where you should go, and then there's the shift of releasing and letting go, and I felt that. And so since I've been here, these downloads have been a little more intense. I mean, they're just on target. They're coming in very clear. They're not wasting time on things. They're like, okay, you're moved. Now let's get going again.
There's no break for you, Jenny.
Yeah. No, and Jeep will tell you, because she's been here helping with the move and seeing all the stuff. So she's seeing it firsthand of how crazy it really is.
We've got a lot of people in the
So
audience already, so I'm going to say hi to everybody. If you notice,
yeah,
oh my
that's
goodness, I'm
good.
scrolling through quite a few people already. Awesome. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, so go ahead.
No. So one of the things I want to talk about, because spirit was, it seems like a word they use, and it's solar flare. So and every time that would come up, spirit is like, it's not residing the right site the right way, and they're looking at it in a 3D concept, and they're like, and we have already explained this in the path of the 3D does not see things, is not open to seeing things. We are we think it's like an atomic bomb or an energy that comes in, and as we know that the firmament is there, so it's not going to happen the same way. So this is more of an ascension flare. So we are already going through it, of this flare syndrome everybody puts out there. We've been going through it. We are in it right now. And I like I told everybody, you have to ask yourself each day as you get up, what reality are you in? What dimension are you in? And it's people are understanding that you have to do that because there is no predictable way of waking up in the morning and things change. So, the way you're, the information that's coming, the downloads that are coming, and then you want to look at the world events of how they're laying out and the way they need to. And that's the whole thing. But you're not understanding that some people are not viewing it in the same way. Their conscience is not accepting it the same way. So that's the thing, is people are getting into this flare again, that 3D concept, and they're like, no. So everything's in a direction, an energy. Everything's energy. Everything's a frequency. That type of, nothing has gotten through the firmament ever. Nothing's going to get through the firmament ever, unless the creator himself lets that happen. So, and ask Elon Musk about that. So we are in it already because it has direction and acceptance and energy of acceptance and how we're feeling in our path. It is not because you have to look at it. The 3D are not awake to this. And I said that for something like that to happen, the negative would be incinerated, right? They would turn to particles, they would turn to dust. And we would just ride along and ride out the frequency because our crystallines already been open to it. So I've been hinting towards that direction, and they keep using that same word. We're already in it. And I tell people, prove me wrong on it. It's because they're looking at it in a 3D concept, and it's like war. You want to see a bomb. You want to see something react in that way. It's not the way it is, because it's up here and it's in a direction, and it's already, look at your earth. It's already being infected by that type of situation already. Completely. So we're waiting for something that's already happening. That's the thing.
Wow. Yeah, well, people are expecting this big flash of light. Is what you're talking about, basically, right?
Right. They're wanting this big flash of light with several suns. Well, it depends on, it's in the dome, outside the dome. You can't get anything through the dome in the first place. And there is no space in the way that they have showed you, because the real space has multicolors and many, it's not a projector showing you the same thing. If you can't see that that's a freaking cabal process they're putting up there, and you look at the same stars and everything, space is colorblind? I don't think so. Not at all. So, and because they show me the cosmos on that. So we can't get past that. So what I'm saying is, people want to know when it's happening. And it's just like, ask yourself that question already.
Right.
Because anybody that you're dealing with, people cannot deal with as one of my students referred to, he goes, we're in Mr. Mom. Look at them. Each day, a new clone steps in, and they get dumber and down dumber. You ever seen the movie Mr. Mom? But anyway,
no, I haven't.
And I'm like, yeah. So here we are going that path. We can't be around them. We can't interact with them. And we're seeing the NPCs. We're seeing the whole organic system. We're seeing the clones. And you're like, no. So we're already disengaged. We're already started a path, like that picture I have on Instagram. And we're just not recognizing that we're already so-called went past this flare situation already. So everybody keeps asking, and I'm like, it's already happening. Already.
Cool.
So, well, we are in a Mr. Mom situation. How dumb can they get? How come they're not getting it? Well, you watch the movie and you look at how they're reacting to things, and how making a new one and developing a new clone, and then it just falls apart, and it's not making sense anymore. I'm just saying, this whole world is not making sense in this 3D process anymore. So it's just interesting.
So in what ways can, I guess you touched on this a little bit, but the 5D consciousness, how how can that help facilitate like personal and collective healing? I mean, what can people do on a daily basis besides what you said already
Well,
about,
okay.
think in those terms?
So the thing is, we get too much in the pain of the physical body, okay? The pain of the physical body, because we allow it to dominate, we allow it to say it's in control, right? So everything is in a direction with ourselves, right? Power in a direction. So I learned this a long time ago with spirit, and I test it when I'm currently in pain, and I've been doing it because after moving, my back's like, ugh. So the thing is, it's just as you look at things in a direction, and it's like loading up a battery. We're loading up a battery. So always spirit shows me, you have a choice. You can allow the pain into the body, which most of us do, or your conscience can release it and give it out. You know what I'm saying? Give it in a direction. And this is the thing, I've been referring people to watch the movie Lucy again, because that movie probably wasn't that important years ago, but is very important now. The way we look at things, how we take on pain, and how it's a human component, and how we evolve, and how we change spiritually and deal with pain. Do you understand? So the whole thing is, it is a thought of pain. It is how our body's reacting to pain. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But we have control how much we take on and how much we give it power. So for myself, for an example, I'm like, okay, the back hurts. So I'm bringing it in as I bring the pain in, and I recognize it, and then I go, okay, and then I need to push it out of the body. So it has to do with this, the trust of your mind, and completely not moving back to the left side and thinking the left has control of the pain. So that's the whole thing. Our future has to do with our thoughts. Our future has to do with our direction. Wow. And how things change.
Okay.
But also...
Oh, maybe that was going to come up. Let me see if that'll come up. It almost did. And okay. Because it would be good if it did, because it covers what you're saying, if it'll come up now. I don't know why I got these pictures and now none of them are working. And I don't know. No, I guess it won't come up. Maybe that's it. Here. Anyway, what this did was, I got all these pictures. I was hoping to show that would, help validate what you're saying even more. But one of the things that they had is there was a picture of, on the bottom was 3D body, 4D mind, 5D spirit, and the different thinking and thoughts that go with it. And I wanted to show that, but for some reason it's not letting me. So anyway.
Go into that, right?
Always something,
So we need to get into the Lucy syndrome, the movie Lucy, and the whole thing is there's a scene where she puts the knives in the guy's hand, and because he walks in the flesh, he's of control of the flesh, money is of the flesh, but her concept is to break the barrier of this realm, of understanding that she's a completely different human, but understanding the enlightenment capacity of how far the brain can go. And so once it's at that enlightened stage, so this is where spirit is saying that's superhuman. This is the thing. And this is where I wanted to ask you this question. The Medbeds. So if these Medbeds are the capability of healing everything, why would it be limited to just certain things like cancer and limbs and all these other healing? Wouldn't it go all the way to full capability? Why would we just limit ourselves again? And that's what Spirit asked your question. Why would we bring these devices in to only give you certain areas to heal? Don't you think these have not been presented to the public yet, because it's going to go to a full capability of our superhuman process. Why would we limit us again?
Exactly.
So that's the whole thing. They said that these med beds, and I think I want you to pay attention on flatbed trucks or semis, and I think they're on flatbeds, and it looks like a disc, and everybody thinks it's like a space disc. I was like, no, it's not. It's another disc. It's a different type of disc. And that's the thing I said, that they're going to be loading them up and taking them. So the thing is, why do we limit ourselves with the healing? Because that's what we're used to. We're used to the pain. We're used to the suffering. And so we think it can only heal certain conditions. So Spirit goes, why do you think that? Wouldn't we go to full capability of completely being that superhuman? Why would we need repeated med beds? And it makes sense why everybody's like fixated on them when we realize all we need is one time to go in.
Yeah, if it brings you back to the original blueprint, our original self before we were meshed with, we don't need it anymore.
Exactly. So here's the rat race around with the med beds, and they're all feeding the same thing, but they're not giving you extra information on it. They're not telling you, and that's the whole thing. The concept of the med beds being at a limited level, we would go back all the way into the superhuman process. And that's Trump has hinted, and he's kind of told you, we have no idea. Getting in the concept of understanding what's coming, getting in the concept of the health and how things are changing. And I'm going to tell you, I was today in North Dakota. I was talking to this gal for some, oils that have weed in them and everything. And she's like, those are going to be gone soon out of North Dakota. We can't do it no more. And I'm like, why? And I'm sitting there going, and I asked her, I go, this has anything to do with the med beds. And you can see the look on her face. They're shutting, because we're not going to need pharmaceutical no more. This is the thing about shutting it down. And people are like, how can we completely get them off drugs? Yes. How can that happen? Because we're going to that full capability. It's not only certain things you're going to be able to heal. It's going to go all the way. It doesn't make any sense, again, to be just feeding us these certain things are going to be healed and this is not. It wouldn't make any sense. Do you understand? That's not going to get society to be a
For a while, they were saying
we go into that superhuman. We're going back into the superhuman. Yeah. And he keeps telling you.
They were just saying for a while, I remember specifically, that if there was trauma that you hadn't resolved, that the medbed wasn't going to help you with that. And I'm going, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. So here we go with the confusion of the conveyor belt and everything they get close to doing something, they send massive paid out people out there to confuse you. And so that the thing is, it would bring us up to full capability, full capacity, we would be unlimited on our physical aspect of everything and making our choices. So that's the thing. If you look at it, why would, after all of the suffering and everything we've been through, why would they get rid of pharmaceutical if we're only going to be healing in certain areas? How do you get them off the medication? It's going to have to go into 100% capability, full capacity, all the way into they should.
We aren't going to believe our own selves, are we?
Right. They should name the bed meds Lucy, because that's where we're going. No pain at all. No limitation. No concept of understanding that lower level human understanding of pain. We're going to full capability, direction, think, process, hearing, understanding. You know what I'm saying? So And I thought it was interesting in the movie that those pills, those vibrations pills, were blue. The same blue that I've seen the firmament as it falls down. Just very odd. It tells me a lot of
You saw it
where
fall
things
down?
are. No, well, I've always said that the firmament would come, and when it comes down, it would go to the ground. It would be a different blue. So I'm just saying, there's always signs about that blue crystal-looking stone as the firmament will collapse. But what I'm saying, they've always put truth right in front of you. And then Spirit said, isn't it odd that it's blue? Again, that color. So what I'm saying is we have to stop looking at the medbeds in a totally different direction. Throw away the trash crap that they're selling you right now.
Well, plus there are people out
and just
there
like the funding, yeah,
who are bringing up
just
med
like the
beds that aren't
funding
even
and
the real
everything
med
else.
beds, because they think that they can make a
Right.
quick buck.
Well, yeah. So, and it's propped by something. No matter what, it's propped by something. And that's the thing, when the military comes out and gives you that information, and I think they're going to have to explain it in a different way, because I think they're going to say, listen, you're going to go in one way and you're going to completely come out a different way. Full capability, full understanding. That's the difference. Not crippled, not sore. And that's the whole thing, because it completely dismantles nursing homes, any type of care system process, any type of psych evaluation or therapy in that way. It takes it all out. Okay. So just imagine the world in 100% capability of healing.
No sickness.
What does that all take? Right. Okay. So it takes down everything.
Wow.
With wellness, except natural. You saw it in several movies, and they reach to nature for healing. So I'm just saying, it's too much at once for them to see all these corporations completely shut down, because it's not needed whatsoever, because there's no reason to just limit it to a certain level. They're going to go full Monty on it. And I don't think those ones that know really know. So that's how Spirit explained it. Why would we just limit the humans again in a situation of suffering and pain when we want them to be enlightened and move on to humanity? So
basically,
how do we do
go
that?
back to our original abilities and form and blueprint and all that, which is before we were messed with.
Right. So what I'm saying, I think this, and I'm just saying, I'm calling bullshit on all the ones that are talking about the medbeds, because I wasn't inclined to talk about it or anything, and I'm like, it's not making sense on any level what they're saying about it. You know what I'm saying? They're making it very 3D, and I'm like, that's not reaching to the technology and the understanding and the advancements what's going on. And we know that if the deep state or the elite had real access to that, they would have used them. We know they didn't, because they were using something else for the youth of keeping them young.
Oh, yeah.
And so, of course, they want to use that concept. Yeah, and they want to use the concept. Well, you'd have to be positive. You can't be negative to be in the medbeds. I don't believe that, because it has to do with breaking down us into the crystal line. We're not going into the bone, the water, and the flesh anymore. Those procedures, surgical procedures, or all of that is just not necessary. So, okay, let's use an example. Just say someone that's healed completely at their superhuman capability, and then say an incident happens, because we have higher technology and the cars are going to be in the sky, and say something happens in that, like the movie Lucy. Here we go, and it shows how it forms around it and heals it within seconds. And I'm just giving you an example because we're discrediting the technology with these advancements. We're coming out with, I'm seeing medbeds that come from Star Wars movies back in a prop in an alley. Okay, it's pathetic. It's horrible. And even the ones that you look on the media that look like they're even close to being modern, try 10 times better than that. Try go further than that. Because what Spirit explained to me, that these are so strong that a normal human, unless they're in these mechanisms, in them, a different frequency to even run them has to be by them. I know that a human can't be near these devices. They don't have the frequency. They're in the flesh and the bone and the blood and the water. And that's what Spirit showed me a long time ago. So, and they showed me a disc, and I know it's made out of metal. And then these systems are in the center of that. So it's more advanced than we know. And so we're looking at these and just completely getting sucked into the props that they're putting, and we're not going to the full capable of understanding how advanced they are, how fast they are, how quick it is, how you go in and look one way, at a certain age, and then you come out a completely different being. So with
that should be very interesting.
The world completely healed. Yes. So they're playing games with that stuff. They're mentally playing games.
Yes, they love to do that. And then they
We're
laugh
not
at
looking
us.
at the future. Right. So I'm saying cut the bullshit on the med beds. Just tell them I don't want to hear it, because there would be no reason to bring those devices unless we went to 100% capability of healing completely, totally, and going into our crystalline. Going back into the flesh doesn't do us any good. Going back into having wounds the same way, sickness the same way, I'm just telling you. Because if we were just repairing that and then we're still in the same environment, we're going to still with the same problems all over. It don't make sense. So our world has to change. It has to ascend in a different way, which you're already seeing. The earth is ascending with it. So I call bullshit. I call bullshit on all the medbed people right now. And then to say, prove me wrong, because Spirit showed me this. They're like, there'd be no reason why we would limit it.
I like that.
Full capability.
I like that. That's the way it should be. Full capability, fully restored to our previous self. Yes. Before we were messed with.
Right.
And I'm look out.
Completely. Exactly. And the warriors and the star seeds that they talk about going into the full capability. And this is the thing I want you to look at. You got your fallen angels and you got your good angels. And the knowledge that they have, the capability that they have. I mean, once you get into superhuman, you have to reference to that point, because we don't have anything to reference seeing a human into that capability. But we're going there. But that would happen at this point. Because everything would be the conscience, it wouldn't be the body. No body. We would be in conscience. That's the whole thing. And so everybody, I think at the end of all this medbed blah, blah, blah stuff they're putting out there, we're going to be pissed. We're like, we're completely wrong on this. What it was supposed to do and how it was displayed and how, because let me tell you, the military, They don't leak nothing. They only would talk about this to a certain capability, and because of afraid that information would get out the wrong person. So I don't believe anybody has any information on it. It's high security on that stuff. So, and like I said, the military would be the only one who would even get close to that. Like I said, these are not devices that a human, you can go into a massage area and then put them in there, and then another human's just standing there without getting fried. It's like, you know what it reminds me of is the Art of the Covenant. That type of energy, that type of
I was
frequency.
going to bring that up. It's
You
interesting.
can't be near it.
Yeah, that's exactly what came to my mind before you said that.
Yes, the Art of the Covenant. So you want to understand how strong it would have to be, what it would have to do to be in superhuman process. The superhuman that can get near that Art of the Covenant. That's the whole process of it. It's not sitting in Florida and newscasters are standing by. I mean, this is the thing. Again, here we go in the Mr. Mom process. Dumb down, dumb down, dumb down, dumb down.
I'm going to have to watch that. I haven't seen that movie.
You got Mr. Mom, and we need to be in the Lucy situation.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's interesting of the con that's going on. It's a big one. And that's why I don't talk about the Medbeds more, because I get annoyed with it, and just seeing it from a distance and what I've heard in my head and what they've said. It's a date, it's a game, it's all there.
Exactly. I mean, like we were saying, I mean, once as the vibration of the planet goes up,
What?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. When I tipped over the mic and then it.
Nope.
Still?
There you go.
Okay. Anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I tipped over the microphone and then and it turned it off. So anyway, I was just saying that once we get into the vibration of 3D, we don't need any of that.
Right. Well, 5D, 3D, we don't need it all anymore.
We're already in 4D.
We're discarding it. Our Earth is discarding it. Our ocean is discarding it. The whole planet is discarding it. It's dismantling. And so healing in the same capability is just ridiculous. In the same way, in a long way of healing, it's not happening that way. We're underestimating what the mind can take on because we've not been taught, because we've been lied to. And that's the whole thing. I don't think society's ready for how far it can go and how fast it can go. If you're willing to accept that full capacity, that full capability to get there. But they're prolonging this show, and I'm going to say it's the show of the Medbeds, just to dangle and not get anything done, and people just fall for it. I mean, and it's irritating. I see it, and they're using the word Medbed. It's just like, it's not. Even Spirit has said, I hate it. I hate that name. It's not the way it is. They don't even want to be called.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
In a
Medbed. Yeah, because everything medical.
So if they had to change it, I would definitely say it's a Lucy device. And that's the whole thing, because it's a full capability. It's not a limitation.
Well, we're so used to limitation. I mean, it's kind of been programmed into us about, lack, limitation. We're little, we're nothing, kind of concepts.
Exactly.
So it's really hard for people to get past that.
Yeah. So.
and think with a whole different mindset. So, let me see.
Right. So, and that's what and I did a picture of a being, and they showed being close to those devices and how the light would, just to be around them, you'd have to have a different frequency and everything like that. And just, it's like stepping onto something, and everything around those devices had to be a different material of metal just for them to get into a warp speed of it, like their speed, plasma, all that stuff. So it's not like you can have, normal drywall walls. People are, it's not concepting, you know what I'm saying? What it's doing. So it don't make any sense.
Somebody was saying healing pods sound better, or celestial chambers, or soul chambers,
Yeah.
or something of
Yeah.
that nature might be better. Yeah, I get it. I can't. There's a something that I think would be helpful to read if I could bring it up, but I don't think it'll let me bring it up. It did it again. Oh well. But I could read it. Let me see if I can find it. That really irritates me. I can share my screen and see if that'll work. But let me try that. There, that one. I can show it that way, which kind of goes along with the concept of, let me see if I can make us a little smaller. There we go. The 3D Earth is great for suffering, lack, ignorance, and the matrix, and that's our problem. And then we have the awakening, where we gain knowledge, the concept of abundance and peace and love instead of suffering and war. I think everybody has had more than enough of the war concept.
But another thing is, with the 5D, there's no fear of death whatsoever.
That, yeah, there is a big, I didn't realize people were as fearful of that as they really are. It's just something I never even think about, but I guess that's me. But
well, most people in 5D now, in the concept of 5D, death means nothing. It's like big deal. There's no, that whole fear of death is just gone. It's like we don't care, because we know it's not existing in the same format that the churches have portrayed. So now we're like, okay, well, that's a vacation to us now, compared to what we've gone through. So I'm just saying, it changes on how you look at death too on the 5D.
Yeah, I just here's an Ascension shot. I was able to bring it up. I had to bring it up a different way, but and this is what I mentioned earlier. Where in the third we have, we think our body is everything, and then as we get in the fourth, on the way to the fifth, we go to the mind, and then as we get to the fifth, we're spiritual, much more spiritual.
Right. And that's the whole concept of, like I'm saying, is you get up in the morning, you ask yourself, where you're at, how you're feeling, where's your soul at, what does it feel like it's reality, where is it at today? That's the whole thing. You have to ask yourself, because it switches by morning to afternoon. You have to ask yourself, did the timeline change? Where are we at? I think we're all looking in different formats of direction of these rooms, and we can all look at it a different way. But as I tell people, stay behind the plate of glass and accept all these different views. Like, you can't affect me, you can't kill me, you can't take my conscience away. I'm free because my mind is not imprisoned anymore. It knows that these are realities that are being presented. And when you get to the point you're not accepting those realities whatsoever, and you're going back to your higher self, there's nothing they can do. You figured it out.
Isn't that wonderful? I'm going to share the screen again. Here's another little explanation that I found that I thought was interesting, if it'll work again. Sometimes people are confused about the different dimensions. And I thought this was a nice little summary.
Mhm.
Spiritual dimensions of reality are different from the dimensions defined in physics. When we're talking about dimensions, we're not talking about places. Instead, we're talking about states of consciousness. Here on Earth, we all live in 3D, 4D, 5D,
Yes.
are all a combination of all three. 3D is the physical, 4D, the bridge between 3D and 5D. You start to question your reality, you take better care of your mind and body, you try to find your purpose, intuition, and some supernatural abilities begin to develop. You seek a deeper
Mhm.
meaning in life, you start to wake up. I'm starting, for example, on that. I know when somebody who it is when the phone rings 99 times out of 100. um,
Right.
so that's always fun. And then 5D, unity consciousness, and that is something that we really have to work to get to, because that's the soul. You understand that we're all one. You start to remember who
Right.
you really are, and love, neutrality, strong
Right.
intuition,
Exactly.
supernatural abilities. Oh man, I tell you what, I can't wait to get there. All the way there.
And this is the thing, if society changed on how they're communicating, how they're seeing a reality, how they're communicating, how they know that they're not limited anymore, how they know that they're in control of standing behind the plate of glass and knowing that these are just views and they cannot be imprisoned anymore on a spiritual level. That no matter what, in dark imprisonment of cells you could put us in, our conscience is unlimited and we can travel within ourselves. That is what they never wanted. And when you remind yourself daily of that, and you remind people of daily of that, that whole negative concept is deteriorating because of that. That's what they didn't want. And that is what Creator wanted you to know, because the eye, and that's why I did pictures of him as an eye. And they're like, everything, all the information is in my eye, which is just a library of information, but you have to look within. You have to look within, right? And so, and that's what the negative and cabal and the deep state, they they wanted to have that power. They tried to copy it. They try to get to it. They try to find some way to have that, and they could never get there. And look where it got them. To try to even play God or even try, it just backfired in the worst way ever. Um, and everything is that. So the whole thing is people standing outside this world and looking through things now. Everything, because everything's changing by the hour. Everything, reality is changing in different directions. And this is where everybody's like, why is one day this positive aspect of this deep state is not the deep state, but the new council, it's not even the government, the new council is taking down certain things. And then all of a sudden, the next day, it changes. And then we think, it's either black or white. And it's like, no, another reality, another veil. How are we looking at the direction? So people are like, why is this changing back and forth? Step outside the glass and see it. And you're in charge of it. What makes you of fear and what does not? That's the process. That's what they want. I mean, that's what the council wants. That's what the light wants. That's what God wants. That's Yeshua wants. Is to step outside it. The awakening has to do with stepping outside of it. The awakening is not on the land, the level of seeing and everybody's awaked in a different way. We're already past that concept of understanding all the sins and all the stuff they used and manipulated. Nature got manipulated. Our wild kingdom of animals got
Everything.
manipulated. Everything was manipulated by what God created, came compassionately, loved dearly, because they wanted to hit them in that direction. And now everything is falling apart within our world, and it's shifting and moving. And now we have to sit behind the veil and go, no more.
And practicing unconditional love, compassion, empathy, and kindness. Those are the pillars of the fifth dimension and the
Light.
soul. And that's why
We're all a part of it. We're all part of that light, and that's the thing. Um, it's not being afraid to go the distance anymore. It's not afraid to say exactly what the soul is telling you to say anymore, because
excuse me one
the
second.
ego is gone. It's gone. Hollywood's gone. The ego's gone with that. There's
What
what's
is so
left is the
noisy?
reality of the truth.
Sorry about that. I'm picking up a lot of noise from the other room, and I was trying to
Okay.
get it under
Okay.
control. Maybe you didn't hear it, but I was hearing it. It's
Okay.
driving me crazy. Anyway, on again. Let's see.
Okay.
I'm still hearing it though. But anyway.
Well, no one's. Well, I'm not hearing anything.
Well, that's good. Then hopefully nobody else is hearing anything extra. It just is bugging me. All right. So basically, you were talking about the practices or rituals that support the shift into 5D, and besides, meditation, going in nature, thinking in terms of compassion, loving, empathy, and
Mm-hmm.
helping your neighbor and helping, just caring is what it really boils down to.
Right.
Because we all are one. What
Exactly.
you do to somebody else, or what you do that's negative, it does. You're doing to yourself too. That's crazy. Sounds crazy, but that's the way it works.
Right. Well, it is, and that's the thing. Well, I know, but you have to look at things are going NPCs, organic systems. What are they? Everybody's really like, what are you? What are they really? I mean, you never would think that we would be at that questioning everything, questioning our neighbor because we don't know if they're real in that process too. And we're at that point of questioning that all because we know there's some programs that have been developed and now it's coming to the surface that we have to look at that in a very strong direction, in a knowing that we have to do the research ourselves, analyze it ourselves, not Google it. I think I did a show last night. It was so funny on this comment that you showed me, and because I was talking about a murder case that I've been working on for a while, and then it was so Barney reply that it was like, do some information and Google on this person. I was like, yeah, the wrong thing to do, because that system was set up to make you be programmed, and that's the whole thing. They still want us to be programmed. I mean, people are seeing beyond all that. Going back to reading the books when it comes to surfacing everything between the Vatican and what's under the Holy Land, and seeing those Spirit showed me these how the paper is formed and what it's made out of, and how it looks thicker and how it looks brown in it. We're going to want to read those original forms again, and not read something off a fake program, because we want to see the original now, because we can't trust it. That's the difference. So, I mean, people are going to have to get dirty and dig down deep into the soil to find the truth now. It's not convenient anymore to just, push a couple of words into things and then think that that's reality. That's the program. We have to ask questions over and over and dig for information over and over. and come together as a community to share those ideas of the reality and not the fake reality that they put out there.
Right. We're dealing with a lot of fakeness, a lot of
Getting back
lies, a lot of
to
things that
what
really make it very difficult to function. Um, but because of the rising frequency and people awakening, it's becoming easier because as more people awakening, well, like if you remember when during the pandemic when they've always wanted us 6 feet apart, that's because of the projection of our bioelectric field. They didn't want it to merge with anybody else because then sometimes you pick up something from the other people when you do that. It kind of, because we're all connected. And you know what I mean?
right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so anyway,
So and so yeah, I mean, so we're at um these different realities of but we're all finally, I think spirit is like, walk your own path now. Look at things in your own view now. Dig for your own information now. What are they really projecting out there for you to look for it? To do for you to just accept what they're putting out there? Or is it something they want initiative to look harder? It is doing that. It is looking making us get behind the chair and dig in the dirt. That's what we need to do.
exactly. I like this. Love is our superpower, and that is so true. If you could just spread it with
Yes.
everybody. And
Exactly.
now too, people realize that you see people out there that if you look at them closely, they're not the same person. If you look, I mean, the fakeness and the things going on are just really um, diabolical, you might say, in some ways. But it just in some ways, it's serving to wake people up even more because it's becoming so obvious.
Right. It is. It is very obvious. Um, so I mean, but the whole thing is like I said, things are changing. So, we're at a different understanding. So I think it's gonna piss them off that we're getting knowledgeable and we're trusting our instinct and we're looking at things on a daily process and saying, no, we're not accepting this no more. Something bigger is happening and we're not walking in that 3D no more. And the 3D music and vibration, all of that is just to just feed us and then staying in the higher vibration tones and frequency and levels and everything else. We're already getting prepped to go into the superhuman. And like I said, why would they just do it half-ass? Why would they only limit us to heal half of us and only give us a just certain areas of healing and then the others are just going to fall along with pain? It's like, no, why wouldn't you go into full capability of healing?
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
Somebody Buckshot said, "Don't forget, authenticity is also our superpower. Being your authentic self."
Exactly.
That's really
Exactly. So it's very interesting. We can take some questions.
okay. Yeah. If anybody has any, I think I saw a couple, but I have to scroll back to see if I can find them. Um, and another thing that's always good is humor. Humor is really. Somebody said something about that a ways back, because it raises your vibration when you laugh at things.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's asking this question: where's the Holy Land located at? You?
Well, I think there's different. Again, a location in a 3D. Here we go. A location in a 3D. Do I think it's in the same place? And references to the same place. You know what I'm saying? Again, we catch ourselves, right? And then they put a label on it. So the Holy Land to me is a land, let's just say Israel, where they hid a lot of things. And they wanted to, because there was something in the ground there that they could not take out of the ground, it was too heavy. So then what you do to hide things up, like we do as humans, we bury the dirt and we put something on top of it so no one can see it. So let's just throw some churches on top of all the artifacts and precious beings.
They did that.
Precious doorways and precious information.
They did a lot of that.
So
burying stuff.
Is that? Yeah. Is Israel the Holy Land in that way? No. Is it the Holy Land that they display? Yes, they display it because they don't want you. They want you to think it's precious, and this is not something accessible in a certain way because, But is it the Holy Land that it's been covered up? Yes. Where is the real Israel Holy Land? And I do believe it's in the States. So
I do too.
Because it has.
I do too. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, that's what I get.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Somebody's asking. I think this one. Oh no, I lost it. Where did it go? Somebody was asking, and we were going to mention it. I talked to you about it earlier. Something about this potential tsunami. You've seen that, or you've had downloads about that? Is that true?
Yes.
And with East Coast, West Coast, whatever people want to know.
Okay. It is the West Coast. So I'll describe this in the format that Spirit has told me for years. And then some, I did a download 6 months ago on, this whole concept of this. So they knew that California was going to be the last one because it was the weakest ground. It would collapse easy. It wasn't going to be hard. It just seems like, And so they showed Mexico having this, and it wasn't an earthquake, it was a crack. One side was going to rip from the other. But as that chain effect of it doing that, then it would go all the way up to the coast of California. San Diego would San Diego County would feel a ripple, but it would hit Orange County and stay on the coast, land there, and go all the way up, to San Francisco. And it would hit hard. But Los Angeles, there would be an opening like the Oklahoma bombing. It's going to open because of what's happening in the ground there. Seeing a city in layers that has been created. And what's going to happen with that is they showed me, this is how I channeled it, that what would happen is the water would disappear, like it would go out to sea. And there would be a crack in the water where water would go down, right? Okay, when it comes down and rushes down, okay, and all that water is going to dissipate, right? Once it dissipates, and it is like a tsunami because at some point that's going to fill back up. When it fills back up, that crack and whatever surfaces is going to have to surface, as they showed me, from the inner earth of how far it goes down. Then when that water comes back and gets that coastland, goes into the Los Angeles area, fills that water up in that pit, that black pit of LA, where that darkness is, and fills it up so it's so high and so big, it goes in a direct area.
Wow.
But it said when that water would come, those houses that were on the edge of the coastline would, just like something out of Poltergeist, they would just take it. When that water comes into that coastline, fills that water up, it would take it out to sea again. It's like sucking the negative off the earth and dismantling it and witnessing something phenomenal, because this is the thing. And people in California, in LA especially, They knew what was underneath there. They knew what these people were doing. And to walk on the streets and to act like it doesn't bother you and it's okay, guess what? That land is not yours. It is going to be completely dismantled and severed, and it should be, and desecrated, because those children were the sacrifice. And to walk the land and think that everything is normal is not. So this will be something to be in memory of how our earth took the land back and cleansed it itself of the evil.
That's awesome.
So yes, tsunami's coming on the west coast.
So,
That's where I see the water.
okay, let me see if I can find any other questions. So if you do have questions, and maybe if you said it earlier, it'd be better if you put it up again so I can find it a lot faster that way. Let's see. I'm looking forward to having my DNA back online too, Baja Girl. We all are, even if we don't know it.
Yeah. Right. So so there's several things. The bridges will go down, and I've done a drawing on in San Francisco. But I also show an opening in the sky, a rotation of energy coming from the sky, a circle motion. And this is
Oh,
on Instagram too. Maps are on Instagram too. And I mean, when I do the predictions, I don't know when they're going to hit. And it just spirit goes, get it done, show it, witness it, document it. And so California's been out there for a while. Everybody knows that. But the bridges are the threshold of the evil. They're, the gatekeepers of from one side to another. The bridge in San Francisco has got to go down. And then they have this swirl of water. They show a big wave going towards that direction too. And it's just like I said, that whole coast of having it on the edge there is going to be bear witness to that whole process. There's no way of avoiding it in any way, but also how California, when that happens, it's like Grand Canyon. I did a picture drawing the Grand Canyon, like this water is like a divide. After that happens, it goes into the city and it never is the same again. So creating these islands in the eruption of this process.
wow.
So
What about dams? Oh, they're going down too, aren't
so
they? Some of them?
yep, another threshold, another barrier, and to keep spiritually confined, and all that has to be freed, and not just our chains. And many, they're changed us. They have changed us down in many ways, and they're not looking at bridges and dams in that way, but they are. Everything has to break free completely. And this is where you need to be watching nature right now, because I think it's getting online to knowing it's coming. And like I said, that the animals would be standing in the streets and standing in a certain area at a still moment of listening, and like literally the hair on their ears is a calling that something's coming and changing quick. So can't stop what's coming.
Good. We want it to come. I do anyway. That'll move things along here. This one says the Galactic Federation is layered to hide true rulers and their hidden agenda, so Medbed's true function is hidden.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let me get that off of there. Then someone says, Why are truthers saying that Obama was running the Biden show? I thought he was executed in 2017.
He has been
Yes.
executed.
We have clones or masks that
Okay.
people see that they think are the real thing.
Okay. There's truther and there's spiritual truthers. And this is the thing where you're really going to have to look at things in a category to divide. As we started this, there's a big circle, just a big pinwheel of all kinds of different type of truthers and all kinds of this. Now we're down to a small pinpoint, and you have to, there's the truthers that, the media, they get their stuff from the media, this sly media sometimes, and stirs massive confusion. Remember I told you that spirit is consistent on the path, and you'll see a consistency of they'll talk about the same thing and give you the same information, but it shows no results. But the ones that are leaked through the true council of government, and that's where they actually get the information. Because, like I said, if I relied on that, I would have quit a long time ago. Because the steady path of where we're going is consistent of the direction and not swaying in that direction. And that's where you kind of see Trump, he isn't swayed. He stays on that path. He stays on the direction. He knows what he has to achieve, and he knows what he has to say to get there. He doesn't care whether someone likes it or not. He's just got to accomplish what needs to be done. People that are offended by some of the information or offended of it's too sensitive and people can't take it. Well, if the truthers are worried about sensitivity and being sensitive, you've chose the wrong career, because we're at the end of the warrior process, and all people want is the truth. They want to see results. They want to see direction happening.
Exactly.
They're getting sick and tired of the same information being spinned. They go from one site to another, and they're saying the same thing. Say something.
Something like the Mockingbird media.
Give me. No one knows. Give them details that only the military would know. But it's always the end result. What's the end result? Spinning, spinning, spinning. How are you seeing the truth? How are you seeing the truth around these days? You're seeing it with your two eyes. You're seeing it in chords. You're seeing it full unfold. You're seeing it in a rough way, in a reality way. You're seeing they're sensitive to all these people that are being pushed out of our country, and they want to be sensitive to about their families and all this stuff. But they all made choices to get here. They all made choices to come in here illegally. No one is concerned about how it's impacted us, the laborers of this country that's been carrying it. So I'm saying, can we talk about the core truth anymore? Can we go to the guts? Because that's where we're at. People want the guts now. They don't want to be entertained anymore. We're done. We're done with that stuff. And that's where we're at. This one big thick layer of the warriors, they're standing, they're taking the knives. They're like, no, I'm staying consistent until this thing is done. We don't care. We stay on the structured path forever until it's done. When we're done? When we're hit the floor and there is blood, sweat, and tears, and we're down to the ground and we look up and we say, it's completed. Not, let me check my bank account and see how much I've made off the product.
Oh, let me tell you something. I posted on Facebook the incomes of some of the so-called truthers, and it was shocking. My God, I can barely make it, and these guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them millions. I could show it to you if you want to see it.
Right.
Maybe
I saw it, and that's the whole thing. What does it take to sustain to be a human? What does it take to appease the soul? I think past a certain number. Okay, let's look at this way in reality. If you're a person of content, you have a house, you have everything you need, you have food, you have okay, so you have that vessel of everything that you need is great. Okay, so where do we get to the point where we're like, okay, I think in humanity goes, okay, I got everything I need. Now I need to serve. Now I need to help others get to their balance. But I think if I had that type of money, I would just give it to any type of animal society, because there's a limit that you need. But that all has to do with ego. That all has to do with no. It's never enough, and it's taught through a program. It's never enough.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing.
Can I show that?
That's it. And that's the thing. It's never
look
enough.
At how much is never enough.
Yes, and that's the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. Was it a year ago? And I just I looked at all that. It's
I mean,
insane.
look at the amounts there. Those are monthly incomes.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, what could you do? How could you help people? So many ways.
Yeah. But that's not the choice. They're still ego-minded instead of heart-minded. Or soul-minded, however you want to look at it, which would be heart-minded.
So, and all of that will be seen in the light for what it is. That's the whole thing. I mean, what is my ultimate, that I would want? A small dinky place by a creek, and that's it. I don't need anything big. So I don't get going big and lavish, because what is it bringing? Except to yourself. I mean, who cares about where you drive? As long as you get from point A to point B. All I'm saying, it's still in the ego.
Someone was asking.
Okay, and here's an example. How many of them are talking about the kids?
Oh,
how many?
So
it's just not good information to talk about. That's not good information to talk about the truth. Why? It doesn't bring clicks. It doesn't bring the numbers that they need. And that's the whole thing. It's a 3D concept. And that's what I'm saying. You still have to face the creator and look at the soul. And it's just the same thing as a biblical form of the ones of enlightenment, the ones of religion that are leading the flock. You had a responsibility. And as Spirit said, we sent many, but not all made it. They bit the apple.
Someone's asking.
At the end, this is the thing. At the end, we will all know.
And that will be wonderful, actually. Someone's asking about, is the new Pope Leo working with the White Hats?
Yes. But I don't think the Leo is actually the Leo. He's just an actor who's playing the part.
Yeah, I guess we have to clarify that nowadays. Let's see. Somebody's asking about Wyoming. Do you see anything for Wyoming?
For the volcano?
They weren't really specific. Yeah, probably earthquake.
Wind. I believe in, because I was thinking about that one. That one erupts. We're done anyway. So I feel like that one will set off some steam. Because if you've ever been there, it's like walking on the planet and feeling the planet breathe. I mean, if you've ever been there, you understand how it feels, and you see it breathing, and you see it reacting, and so that's constantly going. So I believe it's going to get upset a little, but I don't feel that it's going to erupt, because it's always been erupting in a small way. of things.
Someone's saying, is the question, is the tsunami from a Japan earthquake?
Okay. The thing problem with Japan, there's many earthquakes that happen all the time there. It's pretty normal. They live in a condition of that happening all the time. So, and I live there, so I know that what it's like. So I'm not.
Oh, you've lived
seeing
in
it that way.
Japan in the past? Oh, wow.
Yeah, Yokosuka.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, they apparently, I nobody's mentioned it, and I'm surprised, but hopefully it's the truth, that Trump came out and has banned the clot shot. Have you heard that? I said,
What?
Trump has banned the clot
No.
shot.
What? Yes, I believe it's true.
Okay. Somebody's also asking, do the deep state minions know their days are numbered?
I believe they're waiting for something at the door and they don't know when it's going to happen. And to sleep at night is not at peace with them. It's a different hell that they
Somebody's
are in,
asking, I don't know,
including the
RV by
Masons.
the 26th.
And this is the thing with the dates. Okay, I'll tell you something that I've said, and Spirit has said. The last war was always Israel. Now, here we go again. The Israel of what they have in the 3D. So once you look at this, what's next after that of a power source? Nothing. If you really think about it. So that would be the last. So I would be looking for the last incident with that, and then being able to fully utilize and not have a threat for the people to go in to this new golden age. So that is something was always the last part of a situation that needed to end.
This is a good.
So paying attention to the sky and the sky events and what's going to happen over there in some phenomenal way, you need to keep an eye on the last days of the evil. So
Okay. Well, here's a question. This is a good question. Myself and others are suffering forgetfulness, memory loss, struggling with words, etc. Are we under attack, or is it just due to stress?
it is not due to stress. It wasn't in the same way of the stress that we dealt with before. This has to do with ascension. This has to do with going into a full memory, and then this 3D is losing its power and how we look at things. And so when you're okay, if you're a person that channels, or use me as an example, I'm perfect on this because I am horrible with names. I've always been horrible with names because when I'm pulling information in, that's the last thing I remember. So what I'm saying is you're sending through information, and the 3D concept of certain information is not important anymore. So I'm just telling you when I talk about these dimensions that we're going through, and the priority of the conscience is changing. And so is there going to be a balance point when things are clear? Yes. So everybody is going through this. It's just the simple things. You're like, why can't I remember? Why? Where's the car? What's the damn code to the bank card? Or, I'm just telling, yes, exactly. Exactly. What's that person's name? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
You lose your train of thought.
Calling someone, their name.
And it comes back around. Oh my God, yes. Okay, so somebody else is asking about the Three Gorges stand. We heard a lot about that too.
So,
look, I didn't mean to. If you have more to add there, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a
What
barrier that has to go down.
isn't that
Yeah.
partly in part because of the, what do they call it, the Silk Road or something like that? A lot of trafficking underneath the dam there, a lot of very bad things.
I think it does, but it is a big barrier spiritually that needs to come down in the everything evil. And I said this symbolism, buildings, bridges, it all has to come down. Is it going to come down in a way that, again, people look at the 3D concept, and I keep saying the reference of gods abroad, the whole process of that. And we think this destruction is going to happen on a 3D concept again. And again, this is why I'm getting people to pay attention to dimensional information and how things of a person dying 5, 6 times. Like, didn't we hear that person die? Didn't we hear it again? Now they're dying again. I'm just saying. And so people, they're not talking about it. But they're seeing it and they're remembering it. So it's interesting.
Somebody says, jump on the stage and snatch off the masks off, off the clones.
Yeah.
That would be funny, wouldn't it?
Oh my gosh, it would. So.
I'm just seeing if there's any other questions here. What about, is CERN under White Hat control?
Yes. If not dismantled by now.
It isn't pretty much, they're pretty much in control of most stuff now.
Of everything. And then I think they're dismantling things that we do not need, nor, we're going into the future technology. And I think there is a list, like I said, when Trump made peace, and I knew that everything had to be at peace on the world before the funding and everything comes in and everything has to be aligned right. That is other things that had to be dismantled as well. So I believe it's being dismantled.
Okay. I don't know if this is happening quite as much as it used to. I think that's died down quite a bit. The agents apprehend those who think they can talk Illuminati information publicly without consequences. What do you think about that, Jenny?
Agents perhaps can talk. Yes. And I have talked about it recently.
Oh my God.
Because
look at this.
I think there was a confusion with
West Coast just got a tsunami warning. Volcano under the sea went off the coast of Oregon. People being warned to move to high ground. Correction. This was yesterday. Wow. I didn't hear that. It's interesting. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I think Oregon is like Yellowstone. And I believe they definitely showed me in the ocean of the West Coast of where this this large opening would happen. And then that water would fill back up and then hit the coast again. So it's going to be interesting how that.
So Oregon's going to be affected too. Is that what you're saying? Did I understand you right?
No, and I feel like Oregon's like this just steam, and they showed me because I asked them, and I've had people ask that over, and they're like, "No, the West Coast, no, the West Coast." I'm like, okay, of California, that's further out. That's what they show me. So, okay, here we go again. They're wanting you to focus, and they're saying this is where it's going to come out. This is where it's going to, and you have to go. Why do they want us to focus in that area? What if it's something else?
They do that all the time.
Location. So be careful what they're doing.
Yeah. There's always that something's happened over here and they want to get you to focus over here.
Right. exactly. So it will be interesting. So
Oh, have you heard of this one? I've heard this before. Bill Gates planning a 15-minute city called Belmont in Phoenix. What's up with that?
dead,
Not going to happen. Those smart
dead.
cities aren't going to happen.
No,
Um,
nope.
okay. Hmm. Let's see. I'm still looking for some other.
So yeah. So there's a lot of things. Like I said, they're changing and stuff like that, and I'm doing some different classes and mind's eye class because people are ready to really rip that band-aid off, and then um, I'm now presenting in on the public platform of Fargo, doing some huge big stuff here too, getting all that stuff, and then so I mean spirit, you know how we start, and then they lead us in a different way of doing things differently, and so it's really funny because today they're like, okay, you're here, well, let's get things rolling, so every time we get to a new place that they present us, and then there's a new path that we have to follow. So it's just interesting how things change.
And the
So
things are moving right along.
we're almost going an hour and a half. Yeah. So we've been on an hour and a half. So if we can take 2 more questions, then you want to ring the bell.
Okay. Someone asked me if I would show that picture again about how much people make. I can do that real quick if you want me to. Let me see. Is that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we're going to have to wind it up here right quickly anyway because it's. Oh, that's the wrong one. Wait a minute. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah. I meant to do this one here. There. Did that come up? No, it didn't. Let me. I have to stop sharing and reshare. Sorry. I went for the wrong one. What's on Facebook? Yeah. There it is. Those are what people are making. It's interesting. I thought one of the things I found interesting about is all the women make less than the men. But people are, I was kind of shocked at some of the amounts.
I don't think it matters in the future. I don't think it's going to matter in the future anyway, because I think everybody's going to be at the same bracket of finances anyway. So it's going to change. Not that comparison on everything. It's just what you have everything that you need. I think that's what matters.
Right. Yeah, religious people are mind control. That's true too. We didn't touch on that, but maybe on another show we will.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. We have like 1 minute. Why don't we do the children? I think we have to wrap it up. It's getting to be that time. And
okay. My bell's still packed up. Oh, here it is.
I got my little bell too.
We can do
again, and the bell is for the
Ready?
children. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, for the children.
Alrighty then. Let me get back to where we bring this down and.
This is a great. This was a. I'm back, so everything's going forward. So, it's just hopefully everything is. We can hold on to our hats and wait for everything else to so-called erupt. So keep your eye on Earth because it's going to react.
Alrighty, yes, and thank you. And remember, Stay in the light, stay resonating,
Yes.
and stay free. We're working on that one.
Okay, good night, guys.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now. Rise up, stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors.